Everyone, Happy New Year. Thank you for being here this evening. Today is Monday, January 8th, 2024. It's our claim committee meetings. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present?
Councilman Paplaskas,
Here.
Council Vice President Vargas, Councilman Wall,
Here.
Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Campiano.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I would like to have a motion to approve of the minutes of December 4th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
All right. At this time, I would like to open for public comment. We have anyone in the chamber for public comment? So no one. Is there anyone on Zoom for public comment?
No public comments.
No public comments. At this time, we close public comments. And I would like to have a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
All right. At this time, we're going into executive session.
a note to the committee that there is a Scribner's error on pages 3 and 4 under show cause hearings. All the dates that say 11/27 should be 12/7. That's when we had the special meeting, not on 11/27. So all the dates that say 11/27 under show cause hearings should be 12/7. Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to open up public comment. Is there anybody here in council chambers that would like to make any comment on any docketed items on this agenda tonight? Okay, seeing there are none, are there anyone on Zoom that would like to make a public comment?
No public comments.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to close public comment. Next, may I please have a motion that all matters regarding the Spot Bar and Grill be moved to next month's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote on that.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes?
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman
Yes.
Campiano, Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council President Reno. Yes.
Okay, there's a lot of moving parts on this agenda, so keep an eye on me tonight. Okay, next we have an auto repair license, new. Okay. Al Mall Motors. Is there anyone here from Al Mall Motors present? Could you please step up to the podium? State your name and address for the record.
My name's Ahmed Almal.
Okay,
My name is Yusuf Almal.
and an address, please? Okay, thank you. Please tell us a little bit about your business.
So we started it earlier this year. We're a group of 4 brothers. We opened a mechanic shop. My brother is he went to school certified in the full 9 yard. He worked as a diesel mechanic for 2 years. So we figured why not branch out and make our own mechanic shop.
All right, and you come before the committee previously, you needed a
Last month.
site plan, correct?
Yeah, we needed a site plan, correct. And we did submit that. Another thing on the checklist that was given to us, we are up to date on taxes. She said she was going to email you guys or something, but there was no check next to that. So I figured I'd bring it up.
According to our agenda, we have received the site plan and everything else is in order. May I have a motion to approve this?
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions for the applicant from the committee? Councilman Paplaskas.
Thank you. Through the chair to Madam Clerk, the site plan was approved by traffic, or whoever needed to sign off.
Yes, with remarks subject to allowed use of abutting land. So it was signed off by the traffic engineer.
Okay, do you know what they mean by that, signed off to?
Yeah, so the back end of the lot, half of it is owned by the lot that's next to us, actually. I believe it's like a concrete company or something. But if you, according to tax record from the city website, 1300 Park Avenue is actually being taxed for that lot. Like it's part of that lot, I guess you could say. And this is how it's always been. This is how it's always been enjoyed. So I figured that, why not just keep it that way?
Now, you're down in the back if you go down the
Correct.
hill. Okay,
Past the gate in the back.
awesome. Thank you so much.
No
Thank you,
problem.
Chair.
Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please take a vote on that license.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council President Reno. Yes.
Congratulations. Please always be mindful of your neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's move on. Public hearings. Next, we have a Class BV, we have Class BV liquor licenses renewals. Okay, first is 401 Nightlife LLC, DBA Pregame Lounge. Is anyone here from that establishment?
If I may, through the chair, Chairman, just for everybody's edification, this is the same establishment which had its entertainment license revoked approximately a year to a year and a half ago, and that revocation was upheld by the Rhode Island Supreme Court. So This is a separate license. Obviously, this is not the entertainment license. This is merely the BV license. They were represented, as you may recall, by attorney Nicholas Heeman. I know there's no one here tonight, but it appears that they have fulfilled what they needed to in order to renew just the liquor license. And I want to emphasize it's just the liquor license, not the entertainment license. So that's just to refresh everyone's recollection.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Through the chair. I'm
Okay.
not sure if the motion needs to include the, they owe taxes and fees, subject to. It's not, we usually don't put it on renewals. It's just for new licenses that we put what they require. If that's
Okay.
something the committee wants us to do, we
I-
can do that.
I just had a note, it looks like I received an email, a copy of an email today. that
We
says-
yeah, we have a copy of an email that says the pregame lounge is all set, can
be
be
approved.
approved and issued. That was from Tracy at about 1 o'clock this afternoon. I thought everybody got that email.
I think what happened was we did approve it, subject to those conditions last time, and the only reason why it was on again tonight was because I think they did
Yes, they're
fulfill
all
the
set. I
conditions.
just checked the
Okay.
file, they're all set.
Okay, so we do need to vote. Okay, do I approve? And do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote on just the BV license for pregame lounge.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council President Marino. Yes.
Okay. Next, we have Crepe Corner. Is there anyone present from Crepe Corner in council chambers tonight? No. Okay, so we have two matters on the agenda tonight for Crepe Corner. They never showed up for the show cause hearing last month. And we're supposed to vote on this again. So council, would you recommend that we just continue this?
I'm going to say what I usually say. This is strictly a matter of discretion for the committee. My own feeling seems to me that they've had multiple opportunities to come in, and they haven't. Don't even have the courtesy to show up. I know we are business friendly, there's no question about it, but at some point in time, I think there's got to be a line drawn. At this point, it seems to me that they're just basically thumbing their nose at the committee, but it's strictly within your discretion. In my opinion, I think you'd be justified in continuing it. You'd be justified in denying it. You'd be justified in granting it subject to those conditions. But, again, it's what the committee feels it would like to do.
When I spoke with Brittany this afternoon, she had had a conversation with the owner of Crepe Corner. And their intention is to give up the BV license and downgrade. Well, I don't even know what the downgrade would be to, but that was what she told Brittany on the phone. That they were gonna downgrade.
This is a pure guess on my part. The only thing I can imagine would be that they no longer are interested in serving alcohol perhaps and just want to go to a straight victualling license. But in that case, I mean, I believe they would have to reapply for a whole new license. My opinion, and obviously I'm not on the committee, it's strictly up to the committee. I think at this point I would deny it, but I think you have more than sufficient grounds to do that. If you want to give them one more chance, certainly can do that too.
According to the email we received at 1 o'clock, they still owe the $2,000 fee and the tip certificates for all the people that serve liquor. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion from any committee members here?
For clarification, was there a motion? No, yeah, there.
Didn't have a motion. Okay, I'm sorry. So I would like a motion at this time to continue this to next month. I'd hate to,
Motion to continue.
yeah.
To-
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Okay. Next is the Frosted Mug. Is there anyone present from the Frosted Mug? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, now it is.
Name and
Anthony
address for the
Reese.
record, please.
251 Norwood Avenue.
Counsel, should we handle the, show cause at this time?
Well, it's called a show cause, but I'm a little confused as to, show cause connotes to me that some action is to be taken on an already issued license. This is still a renewal. So at this point in time, I'm not sure what we're show causing. I think the issue before the committee is strictly one of whether or not to renew the license. If there's a reason after the license is renewed to show cause, then I think that would have to be done on a separate day and for separate grounds. I'm a little confused by this terminology about a show cause. It just seems to me that we brought these people in and we've been giving them additional chances to appear before the committee and explain why they haven't fulfilled the renewal requirements. So to that extent, I guess it's a show cause, but not in the strict sense. So I think the more appropriate way to proceed is to simply inquire, number one, if the conditions which were set previously have been fulfilled. If not, why not? Then I think the committee needs to, again, discuss it among themselves. And if the answer is they have not been fulfilled, then you're going to be faced with the same issue as the previous case, whether you want to extend more time or you want to simply deny at this point.
Okay. At this time, the clerk's office is telling me that they are still waiting for the $2,000 fee and the letter of good standing from the Division of Taxation. And we are not allowed to approve your license with both of those things still pending. Now, I know you were very anxious to get open up tomorrow. It's even been advertised on social media that you're going to open tomorrow. So could you please tell us what the status is on the fee and the letter of good standing from the Division of Taxation, please?
Yes, I should have the letter in the morning. I thought I was getting it Friday. I called today. The woman wasn't in, but that shouldn't be a problem. And normally, I've always paid the $2,000 when I picked up the license. I've done that every year.
Okay, so your intentions are tomorrow morning to go to the clerk's office, pay the $2,000 and give them the certificate from the Division of Taxation.
Yes.
So if we were to approve this tonight, but not issue it, meaning we're gonna approve it but not issue it, and tomorrow morning you do not show up to the clerk's office with the $2,000 and the certificate from the Division of Taxation, you would not be able to open tomorrow.
I understand.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a second.
Can I,
The motion to approve, excuse me, Chairman, should be subject to, and please read those conditions into the
Yes.
record.
Yes. Well, we're gonna, as Tracy had said it to me, if we approve it, it's, wait a minute. We approve the license, but we don't issue it.
Well, but you're approving the license subject to fulfillment
Yeah,
of the
okay.
payment of the fee, which he says he pays when he picks up, but more importantly, production of the certificate of no tax due.
Okay,
That's the motion.
okay, that's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion or questions for the applicant from the committee? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Okay, so if tomorrow morning, if you can fulfill those two things, the license will be issued to you. Thank you very much. Next, we have new matters before the committee. We have a holiday sales license new for Macaboo LLC DBA Curvy Fit Colombian. I can't even say that. Faya? Fa. Could you please state your name and address for the record to the committee, please?
145 Warwick Avenue, Unit 3,
Your name?
Johan and Myra. Johan Reyes. And here's Myra.
M-A-R-Y, Caceres, C-A-C-E-R-E-S.
All right, could you tell us a little bit about your business, please?
So we're trying to open our first store in the United States. We have 3 stores in Ecuador and 3 different cities. So this is like our new, our new entrepreneur in this country. So we hope everything goes okay. We picked the city of Cranston because it's close to home. And it looks like, like a good area to start. Like I said, the people that produce the stuff, it's in Colombia, but they have a big factory in Atlanta, so we buy from them. We have our own website already. So she does home office and we do, USPS stuff. We sell online already. We're trying to get all the license before we open because we already have the store. So I have a full-time job, but, I'm just trying to, do something for, to grow up and get better.
And what are the products?
It's Colombian faja, so it's shapewear to make the woman skinnier, to make it look like,
Curvy?
yeah, curvy, yeah. And after, after the women get pregnancy, they need that stuff to make the, to make it look back to normal.
All right, so may I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Right. Any discussion or questions for the applicant from the committee?
Oh, thank you for bringing that because we need that woman. Okay, thank you for thinking on. You are thinking, huh?
Council Vice President?
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate your comments on that. I do understand what fajas are. They're big in my Colombian culture. I'm Colombian myself. I did have another question. This is the first store because I know that there's a brand new store opening up in Broad Street, I think with a very similar name as this one.
So we're legally Moldeate. So the brand is Moldeate, but we have the power to sell in like certain states.
But the one on Broad Street in Providence is not the same business
you're-
as this one? Okay.
That's probably the end of, it's not Broad Street, that's Warwick Avenue. That's right in the corner, across the fire station.
And that's
People-
yours, but the one on Broad Street, that's not yours. There's another one on Broad Street. There's another Colombian faja on Broad Street in Providence. That's not
No,
yours.
that's
This is
not
the
us.
first one that
It's
you've
just the
opened.
first
Okay.
one, yeah.
And what are your hours?
So we're gonna open from 9 to 6.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just waiting, to try to get everything online before we do it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Chairman, point of clarification, this is listed as a holiday sales license as opposed, is this for just holidays? I thought I heard testimony that this is essentially a brand new license.
So it is a brand new license and we came here like 3 times and we explained how, how we want it. And that's how the lady told us to apply for it. Because we're gonna open all year long, but that's what she said that we have to open
Oh,
and that we have to apply for
Okay,
it.
so they're already operation, so it is just for holiday? I just wanted, it's Could be me. We just
It's
want to
all brand new items.
clarify what it's
So,
for.
yeah, it's just for holidays.
Okay,
Yes.
So we're trying to open all year long, not just holidays, and explain
They,
that.
you don't need a license just for you just need a holiday license. There's no actual business license for this type of business.
Oh, okay, so, yeah, we just want to make sure we're in the right.
So the holiday license gives you the ability to open all the time.
Oh, okay, so, and so then we're. in the
Good
same page.
catch.
We just don't want to get in trouble, and you know.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, please take a vote on that.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you, guys.
All righty, have a good night. So just to clarify something, there is no license needed for that business, but they needed the holiday license if they wanted to open every day.
Just, no, that allows them to be open on holidays.
Okay. All right, thank you. Next, we have septic hauler license new, Rosano Davis Sanitary Pumping. Is there anyone here from that establishment? If you could step forward, state your name and address for the record, and tell us what you plan on doing.
Yeah, Christian Davis, 9 Rocky Lane from Cohasset, Mass. And pretty much we just pump septic tanks. And we're trying to dump in here because, you know, Massachusetts is only, I think, 2 or 3 plants and they shut down often. So just another avenue to get rid of our waste.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions for the applicants from the committee? Councilwoman Vargas.
Good evening. If you can just educate me a little bit on this. I know you're looking for a place to, I think you just said a dump.
Yeah, so
sanitary
pretty much, yeah, it's I guess,
Items. Where would you dump here?
dispose of our Veolia wastewater treatment plant. So pretty much, you know, we pump restaurants and residential septic tanks and we haul it, you know, with our trucks over and, through a lane. You know, we went through that and RIDM permits and I guess this was the final step.
Vehicles be stored? Are
In
they
Class,
back-
Massachusetts.
Back in Mass?
Yeah, it's
So
like an
they're
hour
only
and a
coming
half.
here to do just business within Rhode Island?
In and
I
out,
think.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you say an hour and a half?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, we're dedicated.
any other questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
One question for you. Congratulations, by the way. Did you drive an hour and a half just to be at this meeting?
Yeah.
You should have come in on Zoom.
I wish- Now that I
Oh,
know that,
next time you'll know.
we're gonna get some food.
All right. Enjoy a good
Make
meal
sure-
and make sure you eat in
Make sure it's in
Cranston, though.
Cranston.
Make sure you eat in Cranston. Okay, next we have, show cause hearings, okay. Is there anyone here from the Asia Grill? Okay, counsel, what do I do with that? Just take it off the docket? Continue it?
I think your questions are the pointed issue. It's up to the committee. Again, this falls basically into the same category as the other 2 that were continued. I guess if you want to be consistent, you could continue this. There's just one thing I noted on the email that came from Clerk Nelson today, which is a little bit confusing, and it indicates that they produced one training certificate for an employee in order to serve alcohol. But then she notes that she's the only one and there's no way that one person could serve patrons all the hours that this establishment is open. That's a little ambiguous. They're not supposed to be serving alcohol, period. They haven't been renewed. And with no one being here, there's no one we can question on that. But that's a little concerning. I do hope that they are not serving. It's just a little, as I said, a little ambiguous as to whether or not they are serving alcohol. It's just something to note on this. So it would have been nice had they appeared, but it's up to, again, the committee. how you want to approach.
My conversation with the clerk's office today was that, the discussion was that only one person had tip certification that worked at Asia Grill. Now, just for a fact, if you wanted to get a part-time job at the Asia Grill bartending, in 48 hours, you could have your tip certification. You go online, study, you take the test, pay the fee with a debit card, and you get the certificate online, okay? I think we've given them like ample chance to get this done. It's been like 2 months and they haven't done it yet. So I think we need to put a request in to find out if they're serving liquor, and if they are, we need to stop it. I mean, we're trying to do the right thing here. If they're serving liquor and they haven't got a license, we're liable for anything that happens. So,
Well, that becomes an enforcement issue. At this point, we could either send, the police either would have to go down there or someone from perhaps inspections to verify whether or not alcohol is being served.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Can I ask, to what address are we sending these? Is it to the business or is it to the owner's, another property address? Like, is there,
The correspondence that we've been sending them, advising them of what documents they need to fulfill their requirements, is Hillside Road, 140 Hillside Road. 140 Hillside Road, which is the restaurant.
is that the address that they filled out when they came to open up the business? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, I know they own another restaurant as well, so that's
In
not
Lincoln.
the city, which is in Lincoln, that is correct. And so that's why I was curious, and I don't know what address they put on the Secretary of State. But we would assume, right, that if the person does put that address on our records, that's where they want communication to be sent.
And
I-
nothing's come back undeliverable, so they have been receiving notifications.
Okay, would it, and we don't obviously have, hand-delivered letters at all. At this point, it would be more of enforcement through inspection or police, like other municipalities.
Just the initial letter from the police department that they, the first set of, notices that they sent out at the end of November, saying that they were not to serve alcohol as of midnight on December 1st. They did receive that hand-delivered.
Okay. I'm wondering if we should, when police goes or any inspection that goes to get a census to whether alcohol is being served or not, they would be cited if the police or anyone, whomever it is, whoever the designated person is on behalf of the city that goes to the business, are they going to cite them, or are they there to give them just a verbal warrant or just say, hey, your liquor license expired, you need to get in touch with the city?
The way it ought to happen is they wouldn't be cited. What would happen is, what I would recommend is that if they are observed serving alcohol, that the police or whoever report back to the committee, to the clerk's office, or to myself, saying that at that point in time, as solicitor, I would advise the police chief to send police down there and to close them forthwith if they're serving alcohol. Then show cause them for violating and for serving liquor without a license. At that point in time, not only would their liquor license be obviously in jeopardy, but any other licenses that they may hold. But if they're serving, the police chief has the authority, I think it's under section Title V of the charter, that if in his opinion, it constitutes a health emergency, we can immediately close the place. So that's how it would work.
For the chair,
Yes.
just to add, Council Vice, s-
Okay.
so they're aware of it.
Okay, Thank you for that. I'm just checking on the Secretary of State's, website also just to see if there is any address on there. And they do note that, it is, there's another address, in that, in their file, and, but they also have a representative, which is Attorney Nick Keeman as well on here. But again, we don't reach out to any of the information that's on the Secretary of State and who the contact person is.
We just go
Usually
by
based
what
on
they
what
put
they
on the
fill out.
application.
that's
Sometimes
fine.
they ask that correspondence or licenses go to the corporate office, but we try to deter them from that because a lot of times that doesn't get filtered back to the local business establishment. But this particular one is 140 Hillside Road. That's what they applied under.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to make a note that Stephen Angel is on Zoom at this time to the clerk. Thank you. Counsel, what would you recommend we do? If we vote this, if we vote on this and it doesn't get approved, what do they have to reapply?
They would have to reapply. Absolutely. Now, I don't know what type of restaurant this is. I never been there. They'd still be able to serve food if the victualling license is in order. They just would not be able to serve alcohol.
Could I have a motion to continue this to next month?
Second.
Any discussion?
Sorry. We do continue this for next month as a third time courtesy on our end though, right? And we do know that they're operating, right, without a license. And anything was to happen, are we liable to the chairman's point?
Potentially, yes.
I know I don't want to open this up can of worms and give them or the impression of
I-
that they could
I-
do it, but.
I don't want to go, we're now crossing the line into executive session in terms of liability. The short answer is, if you've got knowledge, and you're allowing them to operate, that certainly opens the door.
And if we were to send someone from the city and deliver a letter, we'd never do that for anyone, right? So this.
No,
would- this would be different.
we do that for cease and desists. I make sure we do that because I want to make sure that they get it. I don't want there to be any excuse, well, it didn't come in the mail or, so I didn't have notice of it. A police officer goes there and serves them. I just want to point out, we don't have firm evidence that they are in fact serving alcohol. We don't know that. Okay? I just found the notation a little, as I said, ambiguous and a little confusing. I don't know if it means that, there's just because there's one person with tip certification that they're running around serving alcoholic drinks. That may not be the case. I just don't know what is meant by this. But it's concerning. It's an issue.
So at this time, they do not have a liquor license, even if that one person that is tip certified should not be serving.
Exactly,
liquor.
which is why I
Period.
found it confusing, the way it was worded. I don't know, and I'm not suggesting, I can't put words into Ms. Nelson's mouth. I'm just going by what I'm reading. Even if that one person does have the tip certification, that has nothing to do with the fact that they still don't have a renewal. They don't have a valid liquor license as of right now.
So how do we send them a letter saying that they shouldn't be serving liquor, or how do we notify them?
Well, I believe we already notified them. I mean, I think we sent them a cease and desist. Rose, did we send them a cease and desist as well, that they can't serve alcohol?
The last letter that was hand delivered to them by the police department was on December 5th. They were summoned to appear before the committee on the special meeting on the 7th.
Yeah.
To show cause why their license shouldn't be suspended or revoked.
Okay.
And failure to do that may result in imposition of fines or immediate suspension or revocation of license. So
I mean, that covers it.
it states
It's-
that they're legally not authorized to sell alcohol as of that date. And that was hand delivered by the police department.
Council President.
Thank you. I understand the concern about if they are operating right now and serving liquor and they're not supposed to be, and the knowledge. However, I know, I can only speak to my knowledge, and my knowledge is I don't know that they are in fact doing that. This is the first I heard this evening of the email sent from the clerk to the solicitor and maybe the chair of this committee. And I don't remember exactly what it said, but what I think was conveyed to us is that it's ambiguous and it's not directly saying that they are serving alcohol. If that's in fact the conclusion and nobody has evidence that they are in fact serving alcohol, then we don't have knowledge of that. And until that happens, we're acting reasonably, in my opinion, even with just a continuance.
I agree, and just to clarify my earlier remarks, I think liability wouldn't become an issue unless and until we did have knowledge. And I haven't heard any evidence that we do. I just found the notation capable of different meaning.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to continue. Any further discussion?
I just want to know, we have, I think, continued sometimes 2 to 3 times when there has been a no-show, and then eventually we're like, we're done. I'm sorry, I think I said, I think in the past there's been times with certain businesses, maybe, I'm not sure if it's a scenario very similar as this one, in a situation like this one, but that we have given them like a second or a third time and then we're done. So I just want to put that on.
My recommendation on, if we're here again next month, my recommendation would be to vote no.
Agreed.
That would be my recommendation next month. So, any other discussion? So, Madam Clerk, please take a vote on continuing this to next month.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilman Don
Yes.
Piano?
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes.
Okay, is there anyone here from L.A. Bailey's? You are. Could you please step forward, state your name and address for the record?
Yes, Lori Keough, 144 Aborn Avenue, Warwick, Rhode Island.
Or if you could explain to us why you're here tonight. I think I know why, but I think they want to hear it.
Yeah, I'm not interested in serving alcohol, but I have a new person, there's a new person that just signed a lease for that piece of property. Oh.
Speak into the microphone.
Yeah, so there's another person that's taken over the lease and stuff, so, I'm making it able so he can transfer it. So I did my end, and I'm just waiting for my good letter of standing. Did it 2 weeks ago, so I'm still waiting.
Okay, so you're selling the business to someone.
I'm not selling the business. I'm just, yeah, he's just taking over the spot. and everything.
Okay.
Basically,
And you're going to the license is going to be transferred to this person.
Yeah.
So what I understand is that you have to get a letter of good standing and also pay the $2,000 license fee. Okay, and that,
That and.
right, and then,
Tax all done. So, he's has to get all this stuff in before the next.
so you understand at this time, there is no license.
Yes.
That's the thing you got to worry about. The license doesn't exist right now because it hasn't been renewed, so you got to, yes.
I talked to Brittany already.
Okay.
I'm on board with that. She's just, 2 days in a row, I'm like, where's my good letter of standing? You know what I mean? Like, cause I did everything I needed to do. And she said, well, you know,
So, because we know that there's times when if something goes on too many months, then it can't be done. So I just want to make sure that that doesn't happen.
basically,
Okay, all right.
I'm not, believe me, I'm.
I'm just trying to protect you here. We were up against this once with a liquor store where the license didn't get renewed in time, and then we were asked to take the license away from the business, and we didn't want to do that.
You can actually get his own license, but everything.
Okay,
Through the chair?
yes.
I think there's some confusion. My understanding is the gentleman that's taken over the business, when he was given the date of the 19th, he was applying as a new.
Yeah, but.
He cannot transfer.
You can't.
He decided not to do a new license because he knew that he would have to go before committee and then back to council, and he didn't
Correct,
want to wait
but
until the end
that
of March.
deadline- So if you're going to do it as a transfer, it cannot be heard on February 5th because the deadline is passed.
What do you mean?
The advertising deadline. That's why when he came in, he took the forms as a new applicant. He did not take the transfer forms.
Yeah, but
Because in order for you to transfer, you have to be cleared before he can apply for a transfer. You're not cleared at this point. You haven't gotten your clearance from division taxation.
No, I get that, but they told him that he needed everything in before the 19th so they could put it in.
The 19th of January.
Yes.
Okay,
So
all right. So
that's
just
what-
so you know, he has the wrong
I know
forms.
he changed that. I told him it was up to him. He could do it either way. It didn't matter to me. But I want to make it, if you want to do the transfer,
Okay, so if he's going to do it as a transfer, he has to come in and get the correct forms.
he's already been there.
So I helped,
Yeah, he's with, and Brittany I said, you need to go see Brittany if you want the transfer.
right, so he came in after that.
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, and if it comes to that, then he'll have to get a new one, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have my good letter of standing within the next day or two.
Okay, so I'm going to recommend that we vote to approve but not issue.
Wait,
Hold on.
This is before the committee simply on the renewal at this point, not on a transfer.
Right.
Okay. So if you want to grant the renewal, subject to this last piece of the puzzle, which is basically the certificate of good standing. Well, the fee that goes without saying because they have to pay the fee. You're not going to issue the license. So you could issue it subject to those two conditions being fulfilled.
All right, so can I have a motion to
Renew.
the license pending the payment for the license and also the certificate of good standing to the current
Production
owner?
of certificate of good standing.
Yes. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Okay, so you can pay the fee and get the certificate in, and then he's got to apply to transfer the license
Yeah,
to him.
yes.
Okay,
He's ready, he's got all his paperwork.
all right. Thank you very much. Good luck with that.
Just ask one more question.
Sure.
With the victualling license, I mean, I applied for that. But obviously I couldn't be open. They told me I couldn't open. And I paid for it. When the last meeting, you said I couldn't even open for food.
Because of the certificate, because of the tax certificate? We told you at the last meeting you couldn't open at all?
It was said that at the meeting, that I couldn't, I thought that was okay. Because I was still there, but,
The victualling license, you have your victualling license to serve food.
right.
So you can serve food just without
But I
liquor.
was told that I couldn't open it.
Who told you that?
Maybe, like,
Mm,
you have to look back at the transcript. I just was, I mean, I just paid for it, because I would have opened in December.
I would recommend that you transfer that, have him transfer,
They told me that I
can't transfer a victualling license.
Because they did the application, they processed it or something. I was like, well, if I can transfer it, I'd be happy to do that, but it's sitting on my bar.
I'll have to have a discussion with the clerk tomorrow about that. I'll give you a call.
Only liquor license are transferable.
Yeah, but she wanted to know if she could have a refund on the victualling license because she's never going to use it.
I'd never used it, period.
I'm not sure.
No,
Once it's
That-
issued, they said to me,
no. 'Cause- no.
I cannot get my money back.
Okay.
I-
Sorry.
I know, but that, I don't know what the thing, I don't understand it. I just, $250, I can't transfer and I can't get a refund for it. I don't know. I don't know what the policy is because I don't know. That's my question is why, I don't understand why I'm not getting a refund for that.
Council Vice
I-
President.
I would say that, it could be a city policy. I'm not sure what that is in terms of refunds. I know with the state, when you certainly pay for certain things, there's a stipulation that says you unfortunately don't get your money back, and
Yeah,
I-
but
I
they
hate-
didn't allow me to use it either, so.
yeah. I mean, I would suggest possibly even calling the mayor's office or checking in tomorrow with the clerk's office, see if there's any alternative there or on what could possibly be done. But I know, I don't even know if we as a council have the even authority to reimburse that, to be
No,
quite
I'm just
honest with
saying,
you.
there should be some kind of, like, I don't know, I just threw $250 away and it's been a rough year for me. I don't know. Am I all set?
Is there anyone here from La Bandera Bistro? May I have a motion to continue that to next month?
So moved.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine? Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan?
Yes.
Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes.
Okay, next, I was informed that Touch Me Lounge did submit their certificate of liability insurance, and therefore they don't need to be on the agenda tonight. That's the name of the place. Okay, Section 12, license renewals before the committee. Have a motion to approve this as a block.
Chairman, I have to strongly
Oh,
recommend against that for the simple reason. If you look on the public entertainment renewal, you will see 401 Nightlife LLC pregame lounge. That needs to be denied. It really shouldn't even be on the calendar. Make sure that's denied. As far as the rest, I prefer that you do extended hours, do them each individually, but you can do, for instance, the extended hours, you could do the two of them as a block, massage therapist as a block, septic hauler, there's only one, and then victualling is a block.
okay, do I have a motion to do all licenses under extended hours as a block?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve the block?
So moved.
Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to take all the massage therapist licenses as a block?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve the block?
Second.
Seeing any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes.
Council, would you recommend that we vote on 401 pregame lounge and make a motion to deny?
Motion to deny, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve Elaham Restaurant?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas. Yes. Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Next, we have wastewater services septic hauler license. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, Madam Clerk, please take,
Councilman Ferry.
yes.
Council Vice President Vargas. Yes. Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Okay, hold on one second. Next, we have victualling licenses. The first one is pregame lounge.
That's fine. It's just the victualling license.
Okay,
So I don't
good.
have a problem with, the committee taking this as a block.
Okay, do I have a motion to take all victualling license renewals as a block?
So moved.
Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas. Yes. Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve the block?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas. Yes. Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Yes. Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to accept the monthly schedules on the agenda?
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Yes. Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
Does anybody see if I missed anything? Are we good? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Everybody say aye if you're in favor.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn is approved.
January Finance Committee meeting to order.
Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Council Vice President Vargas, Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilman Wall,
Here.
Councilwoman Jermaine, Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Present.
Council President Marino.
Present.
At this time, we'll entertain a motion on approval of the minutes of the December 4th, 2023 meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Being none, clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas, Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
All right, matters carried over from the last meeting. Director Zadelis, is there any update on the exploration of liability policy?
Mr. Chairman, I've confirmed today that we solicited 2 quotes. I've confirmed today that one of them definitely will be in by next Friday. The second one may be the competing quote, may take a little longer, but I can assure you we'll have one of the 2 quotes next week.
Thank you. Clerk, if we could carry this over to next month for, to review those 2 quotes. There are no correspondence or communications. At this time, we'll open up the floor for public comment. We will begin with public comment on docketed items. We'll begin with members of the public that are here in person, and then if there's anyone online wishing to speak, we'll move on to there. So beginning with members of the public present.
Good evening. My name is Susan Blake. I live at 173 Grand Avenue in Cranston. I'd like to wish you all a happy new year. Thank you all for your time here tonight and for allowing me a couple of minutes to speak with you about the Budlong Pool. Residents are asking, why hasn't a bid been done for the pool yet? What's the delay? Going back to September and October of this year, Mr. Moretti claimed that we were, quote, just about ready to go out to bid, late November or early December, unquote. Meanwhile, the original pool is teaching us a lesson in physics. Budlong Pool is currently within 1 foot of the maximum capacity of the pool. The 3.5 years of accumulated precipitation with no seasonal partial drainage and the intentional neglect by the mayor has brought the water level to nearly 1 million gallons of precipitation. There's no disputing any leak issues anymore. There is no leaking going on. And there's no constantly running hose to keep the water level so high these days. You see, if it were groundwater leaking into that pool, then there would be matching level of surface water in the basketball courts and the adjacent ball fields, which are all built on the same wetlands water table. The water in the ground cannot create a higher level in the pool and yet not be reflected in the lower elevations in the same area. The physics lesson here is that water is self-leveling. Think about the premise presented to you and the entire city council that this pool needed to be replaced primarily due to leaking. What a disgraceful lie. There is no leaking. The mayor, the Federal Hill Group, Secotio and Associates, and the well-esteemed Weston and Sampson all grossly misrepresented the lie about fictitious leaking as a means to convince the city council to acquiesce to replacing it. That is fear-mongering and lies played upon all of you and all of the residents of the city. It's a sleazy sales tactic. What is leaking is trust in the administration's ability to be truthful with the residents about anything at this point. My concern now is the summer of 2024. Will it be Cranston's 5th summer without a pool? Will a partially constructed tiny pool be any consolation to kids in the summer heat? I doubt it. And since this sham hasn't gone out to bid yet, I'm asking you to put the brakes on this wasteful spending for something residents don't want, and to take a very close look at what is truth versus what is fiction from the mayor. In my opinion, The whole Budlong campus should be renamed Disappointment Island. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak on any docketed items?
So we're the petitioners for two of the items. Would you like us to speak now or wait till they are brought up?
Wait until the individual items are brought up.
Perfect, thank you.
Last call, anyone in public present? Seeing none, are there any online?
No public comment.
At this time, public comment is closed. Before us this evening, we do have several new matters. The first is ordinance 12-223-01, ordinance and amendment of Title III of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Revenue and Finance, Chapter 3.110, 10-year tax stabilization for property located at Oak Lawn Avenue, Plot 7-3, Lot 607. This is the Oak Lawn Avenue tax stabilization sponsored by Council President Marino. If the petitioners would like to present the application.
Good evening, everyone. I'm attorney Tanessa Azar from Moses Ryan on behalf of the petitioner. The owner of the property is Amalgamated Financial Equities One, but that's part of Carpinato Group. So before you, you have a petition for a tax stabilization agreement for 10 years for this project. This project is a residential development that you're likely familiar with because we were before you asking for a zone change for this property. It's 12 units proposed, of which 2 will be affordable for 30 years. Currently, the property is a vacant lot, generating very little tax revenue and assessed value. I'll walk you through a little bit of what's been proposed in this ordinance. So essentially, we take the authority granted to you by Rhode Island general law to grant tax stabilization agreements. You have some existing ones in your ordinance, but none really address residential properties. So that's why we've come in with something that's a little different than what's existing in the ordinance. So this would be to focus on residential and really to incentivize those affordable units that we discussed before. As I said, your authority comes from Rhode Island general law, so this would create a change in the ordinance to allow this to happen. The way it's been drafted, we put together a draft for your review tonight. You might notice that there's a couple blanks still in there because we understand this is going to be a little bit of a collaborative process, hopefully, and we want to get feedback. But what we propose there is the taxation would work that for the first year when the project's being constructed, it'd be the current value of the property, like I said, which right now is fairly low. And then a base assessment would be set, which would be the value of the property when it's fully developed. And then throughout the 10 years, that value would phase in 10% per year. That's the simplest explanation, and it'd still be taxed at the tax rate of that current year. So for example, in 2025, it'd be a percentage of the base assessment at the 2025 commercial tax rate. There's also some language in there about renewable energy. You have something already in your ordinance that addresses the taxation of renewable energy, and that's currently there, but this one's a little different because it's a multifamily project. We want to make it clear that there wouldn't be an increased tax to make this a green project, but any renewable energy proposed for the site would be for the use of the applicant. It wouldn't be commercial generation of power for commercial revenue. So just wanted to clarify that. And we can always tweak language to make that clear. I'm not sure if that was clear to everyone in the current draft. So essentially, like I said, this is really, there's 3 main reasons why this is here before you. One is your existing TSA structure doesn't address this project, but we think it's a project that really needs a TSA to get off the ground because of the affordable housing element. The Rhode Island General Law's Low and Moderate Income Housing Act specifically says that municipalities can offer subsidies to make housing affordable. And one of the ways they say that that can be done is through tax abatement, in addition to other forms of assistance. Additionally, this really makes the project have a much more predictable tax scheme for the future, which benefits everybody. It gets the project off the ground. You have these units that are affordable for 30 years, and for 10 years of that period, the taxes will be very predictable and clear to everyone involved. The Carpignano team is here. If you have any questions with them, or Kelly, if you'd like to share anything, otherwise, I think that's the intro that we have for you. Kelly? This is Kelly Coates, President and CEO of Carpignano Group. I'm sure you know him.
Hi, I appreciate your time tonight. We are anxious to invest in this city where we are based. We're moving our offices shortly over to 100 Sacanasa Crossroad. We believe in Cranston. We're based in it. Most of our developments we do without tax treaties, but the residential doesn't work. It doesn't pen financially. And so what we hope to do is do a major investment in Cranston in residential beginning this year. We have almost all the permits in hand. Almost every hearing we go to has been a unanimous vote. And we've laid out the project and explained it to the planning board, to the city council over the past many years. And we've gotten great acceptance by the community and by the staff. And now we're asking for your assistance to allow us to invest on the project. So since Mr. Carpignano's death, as trustees, he could take the vote of saying, if you build it, they will come. Or someday the rents will make it work out. But as one of his 3 trustees, we're not allowed to do that. So we can't take those risks. And so it does not financially pencil. And so a crucial element of that is to have a predictable control over the costs. And one of the major costs on this project is the ongoing property taxes. So this will be all incremental to the city of Cranston. We're not asking to take anything off the tax roll. So as we did with Topgolf, when we discussed that tax, we were quick to say they're coming without tax relief. And it'll be a triple net lease. And so, you know, of course, they expect to be treated fairly, but it's a triple net lease. They pay the taxes on their portion. This is different. Tenants don't pay the tax. They have to have a predictable fixed set rent, residential tenants. Let me clarify that. And so that prompts us to come before you tonight. And in my 35 years of coming before this room and investing in Cranston, we haven't proposed that. We propose it now because this is a unique project and a unique time. And we think that once again, teaming up with this council, we can make an investment that will again improve Cranston, pay for police, fire, and teachers, and make a better community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any discussion from the body? I guess the one question I'll ask, what is the current fiscal year tax assessment? I know.
So Oaklawn Avenue currently, the 2023 assessment is $112,700, which results in tax of $1,468.53.
Thank you. For the purposes of discussion, is there a motion before the body?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Your motion was to approve. We have a second. Councilman Pavlakis.
I made a motion to deny.
In respect, Councilman Ferry was the first motion to be made. His was a motion to approve. There was a second. So the motion before us right now is the motion to approve. But it is recognized. Is there any discussion by the council, the committee?
I'll defer to the sponsor first if you'd like, but I do have comment.
Council President Marino.
Sure. I would like to hear from the administration with respect to the fiscal impact relative to this ordinance. I can tell you in terms of sponsoring it, this ordinance, just similarly in the past, when we have property owners that have particular ordinances relative to their properties, they need council or mayoral sponsorship of those ordinances. This one in particular, I was glad and happy to sponsor because Carpignano Properties has been a very good partner throughout the state relative to their properties, and particularly here in Cranston in terms of bringing attributes to the communities and enhancing property values. And these two particular properties on point, one that we'll be discussing later this evening after this one, they both have affordable housing components. And we talk a lot about the need for housing. We talk a lot about the need for affordability. Here we have both of those. And I think that it's imperative that instead of talking about it, that we do things in partnership with development to encourage these properties in our city, to provide those opportunities. These ordinances currently in their form are subject to further discussion. We need to have discussion as to the fiscal impact, perhaps the timeline, or for me, because they would be affordable and be restricted for the 30 years as such, I'm not disagreeable to the 10-year timeframe. I would perhaps like to see some change in maybe the percentages. And the last thing I'll say as to this for now is that currently both of these properties, it's vacant land. So the city is seeing minimal tax revenue on these properties as vacant land. The development of these properties and anything that we can do to facilitate that, particularly in uncertain economic times for both commercial businesses, for developers as well. I would like to see that happen because that will be a positive net gain for the city in the years to come. That's what I have to say for now for some information. But again, I would like to hear from the administration as to the impact with the ordinance as proposed.
Director Moretti or Director Zadelis, is there a fiscal impact completed?
I'll defer to, the answer's no, but I will defer to our finance director. Just want to mention, Council President, I think asked the question, the developer has not consulted or proposed anything to the mayor, just to clarify. But Mr. Zadelis, and our tax assessor, is here to speak, and also I believe Mr. Pizzulo.
Mr. Chairman, the full fiscal note has not been performed. Back to the attorney's statement, the agreed upon base value has not even been contemplated between the city and the developer, the proposal. Back to the council president's statement about the percentages over a 10-year period. The current tax stabilization has a provision if it's commercial 10 years and it's not the standard 10%, 20%, 30%. It's going to be predicated on the actual proposal. So where Ms. Coates said it hasn't penciled out, we have not seen that yet. And their financials, including their rate structure and the rate for the affordable, has to be reviewed before any fiscal note can be conducted. Once we, sit and look at their financials and develop, potential, tax stabilization, which it's been my experience, and granted it's in Massachusetts, housing projects, generally aren't getting tax stabilization. The one exception is those in a special district area. So there's a lot of legwork between the city, the developer, the developer's lawyers, and the city just on the agreement. So there is no fiscal note that has been performed now because, quite frankly, we don't even have the base value.
So timeframe, how long realistically would it take for that to be completed? With respect, also given to the petitioners who are here in their time.
I would say that we would, step one, schedule a meeting ASAP with the petitioners. So that's a starting point.
Thank you, Director. Attorney Angel, the deliberations of what Director Zadelis just articulated, that's a function of the executive, correct? Or is that also here in the legislature?
Well, the administration can certainly work with any developer, excuse me, to develop a tax stabilization structure, but it's also within the right of the petitioner to propose such a structure. The council president properly stated, as did the applicant, that federal law provides for governmental subdivisions, state and local, to provide subsidy to low to moderate and affordable income, low to moderate income and affordable housing. Those subsidies typically are done in the context of a tax abatement, rather than have a property owner pay money and have a refund, or there to be some other abatement structure. That subsidy is typically done in the form of a tax stabilization agreement. And oftentimes in the affordable housing world, the stabilization agreements run concurrently with the term of years that the units would be designated as such, unless of course it's entirely affordable, in which case you can have a 99-year such designation. That's not the case here. So it's a 10-year agreement. It would be something that is permitted with respect to affordable housing units. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Councilman Paplaskas.
Thank you for the floor, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, I made that motion to deny because I think this is precedent setting, and it's no disrespect to Mr. Coates or the Capernato Group. I love all the Capernato properties. I appreciate everything that Capernato has done for the city of Cranston, and I'm happy to hear that you're moving your headquarters here to the center of the universe, which is Cranston. I have issues with this legislation because it's precedent setting. I think it opens the door for other developers to also ask for tax breaks for housing. Housing is not a job creator. Granted, there are construction jobs when the housing is built, but that's it. It's not a job creator. We provide services, we provide fire, we provide police. Another issue I have is this wasn't proposed when we voted on these properties. Both of these properties are in my ward. Champlain Hills, for example, still being called that, on Situate Avenue, was back in 2015. I think I'm the only one still on the council when I voted for that. I might not have voted for it if it had a tax treaty or incentive on that property. We can go back to January 2023. We have a fiscal impact study that was proposed by JDL Enterprises when we looked at those. And it said in there that, the taxes that would be granted, will outweigh the services provided by the city. We have school, we have police, we have fire, and other issues. So this is, precedent setting. It's going to open the door. I don't think the city can afford it. We have like the Printworks property, John, in your ward coming up. I mean, if this goes through, they should ask for a tax break. So should the property across the street. So should all the housing properties in the city. And I don't think there's an affordable enough component in either of these properties to justify giving this incentive. So I'm happy they're being built or considering being built. I just think that this is precedent setting and we're going down the wrong road here in Cranston. It's not like TACO when I voted for that years ago, where it was just a portion of the new building and it created jobs and it was a lot smaller tax increase in jobs were attached to it. So, and the other thing is, I don't think anybody in Ward 5 wants windmills. I saw the windmill component in here for renewable energy for the Situate Avenue property, and we all saw what happened with Alpine. So I don't know if windmills are being proposed, but I certainly don't want to see windmills on Situate Avenue. That's all I got for now.
Thank you, Councilman. Are there any other members of the committee? Councilwoman Renzulli.
Thank you for allowing me to speak, Chairman. I am not a member of this committee and do not have a vote tonight, but I did want to express my displeasure with this proposal, while I also greatly respect the Carpinato Group and Mr. Coates. I have a problem with spot tax breaks. So just like spot zoning, we are going to give tax breaks to two developers, and we don't have, that doesn't stop other developers from coming through asking for their own individual tax breaks. If we wanted to have a ordinance similar to what we have for industrial and commercial, where, you know, there's an application process where you come through and you qualify in certain areas. If you have financial need, which I do not know the finances of the Carpinato Group, but they seem to be doing pretty well. So I'd have to see that they have financial need to do this, unless we're going to have 50% affordable housing. Giving two affordable apartment units doesn't seem necessary to cut taxes, because we're not cutting taxes for our residents. Those have to go up almost, you know, for the next few years, more than likely, because of services and budgets and different expenses that the city has. So I really don't think that we should be giving tax breaks to developers. This is what corporate welfare is. This is the problem that they're having in Providence. This is what people like Representative Enrique Sanchez talk about all the time, how we're giving money to developers, we're saving them money, but that money is not being passed down, as far as I understand, and I stand corrected, to the people who are renting these units. So I would like to know, what is the market rate for these units compared to what the affordable housing rate is? Can somebody answer that question? What is the rate for these apartments? How much are they per month? Is there an estimate? I know that's not going to be an exact number.
I don't believe they have the final numbers for that. It would just be the market rates. Thank you.
So it's just hard for me to say to my constituents, yes, your taxes are going to go up on your house, but we're going to allow a developer who has many developments throughout the city of Cranston and Rhode Island, appear to be very successful, and we're appreciative that they bring development to Rhode Island and places like Topgolf that offer hundreds of jobs. But we're going to give them a tax break to put apartments where they'll be taking from police and fire, and they'll be putting more kids in schools that we already have at capacity or over capacity. And we're already going to bond to fix schools. We couldn't go to bond to put a new Western Hills, which we need because it was too much money. But now we're saying, let's collect less money and bring in more people. That doesn't make sense to me. And we need to know exactly what the fiscal impact is before we even, I don't know why we're considering this without a fiscal note, because it seems like we can't even really have proper discussion on it without that information. So for everything that my colleague, Councilman Paplaskas said, I just don't think that it's going to start a precedent of people coming in and asking for tax breaks on development that doesn't offer jobs and personally doesn't offer enough affordable housing. If we wanted to design something where you gave tax breaks based on the units of affordable housing, if we could kind of carve it out, just like when you put an addition on a building for industrial or commercial, and you can get a tax break on that addition alone, not on the rest of the building, then maybe we could talk. And that seems like that would be more fair. But now we're just saying, hey, come on in, have your attorney, who I'm assuming wrote this ordinance, because I know that's what happened with the Legion Bowl project, outside attorneys writing ordinances for developers that we're then going to put through so that they don't have to pay taxes. It just doesn't seem right. And I hope that everyone will consider that we're asking to bankrupt the city. Thank you.
Does anyone else have comment before I? Well, Council Vice President.
I had another, well, I have a few questions, but I guess just for the time being, there's a transfer of the property that's added, it's in the language in terms of transferring. Can someone from, the representative over from the Capernato Group just, give me some, knowledge in terms of, does that mean that you are, if this was to go through, the developer, meaning yourselves or Mr. Carpenato's group, Mr. Kelly Flo's group, would allow the tax, well, let me rephrase my question because I have two questions that maybe I should separate. Would the transfer apply if this was to move forward and pass, whether it's this evening, later down the line, where you're able to sell the property to someone else and that person will still gain that tax stabilization of 10 years or however many years are left at that time of the property that's being sold?
So as it's drafted, yes, it would run with the land, but the same thing that the affordability would run with the land as well. So you couldn't separate the affordability, but yes, the tax benefit would be part of the property. And if for some reason it was sold, it would be. I don't think there's any plans to sell this property, but that's how it's drafted, yes. Mr. Kosa just indicated if that's a provision that gives you pause, he'd be willing to remove it from the proposal.
Thank you. And, sorry, thank you. On the language in terms of windmills, which I also have on here, I see it as a kind of a gray area. If you don't mind elaborating, not just on windmills, but I think it looks, to me, it's more like, kind of like the solar panels in general. Like, are you asking to, you're not asking to sell any type of energy that is coming in or out, but can you just explain to me that area if you don't mind? And maybe for everyone on the council?
Of course.
Thank you,
So
I appreciate it.
we don't have an interest in putting a windmill on the property, and we're not looking to short circuit any regulations that apply to renewable energy. So we're not trying to slip through something to get a solar field here, and it doesn't allow us to do this. The issue is that on these projects, so it came to me is when we're improving the housing for the elderly projects we have across the state, including Riverbend, Situate Vista, and Mashantucket Vista. And as part of the federal regulations, you have to have a generator. And I said, why we have a generator? Why not have batteries on site? So the generator that the feds and the state mandate has oil, if you can imagine. You can't use a gas generator. So the unit comes with a belly tank of oil. I don't want oil on the property. I don't want to risk a spill. So we went and investigated with a company from Portugal that does it all across Europe, and they put big batteries, and then the electricity comes in and you purchase the electricity at night, and then it goes out and you use it during the day during peak periods, and it reduces your interest, your hourly charge on electricity. But the problem is the batteries become taxable, and so we don't want to be taxed for those batteries. And so it certainly never occurred to any of us on our side to have a windmill. I think they're wonderful, but I don't think they're great next to a multifamily complex. And the same is true with, no one says, I want to move in there because it's got solar panels. But they would like to have the solar covered parking spaces. Like you can have those next to the headquarters of Quonset. You see them out in California all the time. And so it's a structure, it then gets taxed. So we have this same ordinance going before Warwick and Providence and Newport and Westerly. So it's nothing to do with the tax treaty. It just got put in here because we're here for it. So again, that's something that can be eliminated if it causes distraction. So we're not looking from distracting from the heart of the matter. One unit, one complex is 12 units. One complex is 244 units. And so I'm not trying to slip in some windmill or solar. We don't want to do that. That should be fully vetted, and this ordinance does not allow it to do that. But to avoid any doubt, we could remove that and come again another day. I think it should be passed in Cranston that if a commercial project comes in or a residential project comes in and puts battery for its own self-use, you're not going to increase the taxes.
John, sorry, Council Chairman, one more question.
Yes.
The units on Oakland Ave, are those units, I see that they're either 2 bedrooms or 1 bedroom. Are they with the idea of having, is there like an age demographic that you're looking for? In other words, is it, I know in some development houses try to keep it really with 1 bedroom just to have more of our seniors or maybe young professionals or just a young family. I'm just to answer the question of the fact that there are some members of the community that are concerned in terms of the number of students that an area of the school department would possibly gain.
Well, I think the best measure of what we have is on the same street at the Chateau and Chateau Surcrest, and Belvedere are on Mashantucket Valley Parkway, and then Chateau Chatillon is on the same street. With very, very few apartments for families. It's primarily elderly and people, 55 and up. It's not age restricted, but we do have an occasional young family, but almost no children in the school system. And it's pretty easy to check. So it's going to be consistent with those. And there's no areas, there's no pool, there's no play areas, there's no dog park. There's nothing that would encourage a family to want to rent at that complex. It's on Oaklawn Avenue. It'll be the newest units, and it'll be directed probably toward people who used to live in Dean Estates and are now down at the bottom, and they can go visit their families who have their house.
Thank you, Chairman.
Council President.
Thank you to the chairman. A couple of things is the last thing we want to do is whether intentionally or unintentionally mislead the public. And some of the things that were said tonight, for example, the Cranston Print Works, my memory on that is that none of the it was a residential development and none of that was affordable. So this would not apply to that. Again, I reiterate, these 2 residential developments before us already have affordable housing as a component to it, and federal and state law allow for and encourage this type of tax stabilization agreement with those properties. So that could never even be an occurrence necessarily with Cranston Print Works. With respect to this notion of, there was mention of 2 out of 12 units are going to be affordable, and that's not, enough. We as a council were the ones that voted on that. And I recall specifically that was roughly about 15%, which this council, I don't know what the vote was on, approved of that. So that is a significant portion when, as a city, I know some of us hope for 20%, and that may change, but 15% is a significant number of affordable units. Relative to this notion of them not paying or being an unfair burden, I disagree with that because, again, currently this is vacant land and there is a gain going forward for the money coming to the city. And development, again, even with the affordable component, is not happening at a pace in which I think that we would like to see. A lot of us have made laments along those lines, rightfully so. And I think that this is a step in the right direction. Another thing was discussion about there not being a fiscal note, so we shouldn't even be considering it this evening. Every member of this body, including the council member who mentioned it, has presented past ordinances, and the fiscal notes come at the direction of the administration. That's their task to do. And once the ordinance are introduced, then that fiscal note comes. This is nothing out of the ordinary. This is all appropriate. This evening, I think would like to see a motion to continue it for another month. I think that this meeting this evening is essential and vital to having a discussion. But I can tell you from my perspective, I would like to see us have a TSA to encourage this development. I would like to see perhaps a provision relative to the subject of if the property is sold, then perhaps the TSA would become more or less null and void, okay? That it would need to remain with the owner going forward for that 10-year period. As I mentioned before, it's a 30-year life of the affordable unit, so I think that 10 years is more than reasonable. There was mention this evening about renewable energy. Again, facts matter and accurate information matters. And we already have on the books regulations relative to renewable energy. They can't just throw up windmills because our laws don't allow for them to just throw up windmills. So the last thing we want to have is scared residents thinking that that's going to be happening next door to them when it's not. As it's proposed, I think that's a reasonable component. We all talk about renewable energy and we'd like to see green components. And this is a great economic incentive to a developer to incorporate those aspects to their units, which would even be attractive to renters, frankly. And I think that that's a very good attribute to have. And again, it is subject to our regulations that are already on the books. Relative to the issue of the energy component, I do maybe want to see in the ordinance just some clarity to make sure that that renewable energy component is directly contingent upon only the use and utility of the property itself. If we can make that clear in that language, and I believe that section in 122301 is in the lines 85 through 91. So if that can just be clarified. And then I would like to see, we as a legislative body cannot do the work required with respect to the finance department in terms of the actual numbers. And we rely upon the administration and the finance department to give us those financial numbers so that we can make an educated decision. I would like to see in the interim between now and next month, a discussion with the finance department and the developer as to what the base assessment would look like and what those percentages would look like so that we can make an educated decision from there. That's the last I would say. Thank you.
Was that a motion? Because I'll second that right now to
Well,
continue.
first thing, we need a motion to withdraw, to go to the chairman.
We currently have a motion to approve that has a second. Councilman Ferry has the floor.
Thank you. First thing I'd like to do is to thank you for bringing these projects forward to the city. I personally get more excited about housing than I do about Topgolf, but that's just me. I think that you would never want to be part of anything that would ever bankrupt the city, Mr. Coates. I'm sure that you would never want to be part of anything that would bankrupt the city of Cranston because you have too much vested in the city of Cranston. So as I understand, the majority of these units are 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom with, or none of them are 3-bedroom, as far as I had looked into, right? So the units are all 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom?
Correct, there's no 3-bedroom units.
Okay. And I do understand the fact that the pen doesn't meet the paper and you can't get to the numbers that you want. And we all understand that it's costing a lot more to build things. So I think that we need to pay attention to what they're trying to do here. They're trying to build housing in Cranston to give people that work at Topgolf a place to live. And other people that want to move to Cranston to send their kids to good schools. And all we do is get scared that people are going to move into Cranston. What a shame. Wouldn't that be a terrible thing that people would move into Cranston? So instead of welcoming them and trying to adjust this to make it work for everybody, we're sitting here accusing them of trying to bankrupt the city. Not a good thing. We apologize. And we want you to get this, maybe with some adjustments in it that'll work for everybody. We should be considering doing this because we need places for people to live. And we need to move housing upward. We need to make room in the houses that the people will sell and move into those apartments so more people can move into Cranston, pay taxes. They can build a development that's worth millions of dollars. And it's not going to cost a lot more police or fire or school to build any of these projects. Do the math. The numbers are not there to hurt the city. The numbers are there to help the city. And Caprianato, they are our economic development in Cranston. Let's never accuse them of trying to be part of something that would bankrupt the city. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Are there any members of the committee that have not spoken yet before I go on to others? Councilman Campiano.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to say that I stand with my colleagues, Councilman Paplaskas, and Councilwoman Renzulli. I do for development of Cranston, but not if it's going to come on the backs of our taxpayers. I have to face my taxpayers and explain to them why we give a tax break to a building and their taxes are going to go up. So again, I agree with them.
Are there any other members of the committee who have not spoken yet? Councilwoman Jermaine.
Thank you. I remember when this project came for the zoning, I voted yes for it because I believe that we need more housing in Cranston. And having a developer that will allow for affordable housing that we don't have, it's a plus. And I think we cannot be too greedy if we want to have progress. Because a vacant land that not offer anything, that will be built and make the city more beautiful, and at the same time, give residents a place they can have choices. So I always express my feeling about having many options in the city. We have options for people who can afford 300,000, make option for people who can afford 100,000. So that's what we should be doing. And I remember, as Council President Marino said earlier, we discussed the 15%, and we agree upon that. So that's nothing new really here. And if the state allowed it, if the federal allowed it, we're doing it not in violation. There's no violation. And I think we don't need to use big words that will scare people, really. Maybe it's out of context. If we help a business to implement something, and we have to see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is we have some affordable housing, and at the same time, we have the business that make money. That's what it works. They make money, and we've got something too. And they will pay taxes. So the 10-year stabilization, I think it's not a big deal, but I would like to see the numbers. So I don't see what the percentage will be. So I would like to see that, the percentage. I was looking at it, maybe I missed it somewhere, or is there, or we have no numbers at all. Do we have a number? Because I don't think I see.
So the formula is in there, but the actual number to use the formula is not in there yet.
Okay, so I would like to see that number. And also, as you mentioned earlier, 30 years, after 30 years, so what's gonna happen with the affordable housing after 30 years?
So 30 years is utilized because that's the standard for it to be affordable housing. At that time, it could change or it could remain affordable, but that's why the 30-year marker is used. But it has to be through that point to be counted. So what happens in 30 years, it could be the same or it could change.
Okay, so I am looking forward to those changes that probably when the administration sit with the attorneys to make some adjustment in the language. And I'm looking forward to vote for this because we want to have this project going forward. I don't like to see all lands say vacant and they don't give anything to us. So I rather have $50 not having nothing. And I don't believe if we give a stabilization that's come up from the taxpayer, I don't think so. I don't think that. Thank you.
Councilman Wall.
I won't belabor the point. Looking over the proposal, I see a lot of good in this. And as I listen to my colleagues, there's concern certainly on both sides. As Mr. Ferry said, I don't think anybody in this room wants to bankrupt the city of Cranston. Well, as I look at it, there's a win on a lot of levels here. You have affordable housing, which you read all the time, you hear all the time how much a big concern that is. And you also have, over that 10-year period, increasing the tax revenue year by year. I mean, you're never going to go backwards. You're never going to be at a deficit. Right from the first beginning, you're getting exactly what you're getting now. In 10 years, depending on what that base is, it's only going to increase. Looking at the proposal, I'm in favor of it. However, much like the council president said, I think it's a good idea to continue it and get some of the rough edges out of it and maybe answer some of those questions so everybody's comfortable with it. As I said, not to belabor that point.
Councilwoman Renzulli, and then Councilman Paplaskas.
Thank you. I just want to be clear that I did not say that this proposal, either the 12 units or the 244 units, we're only allowed to speak on the 12. I think we're all kind of speaking on both at one time, just to be clear. I don't think that either of those are going to bankrupt the city alone, or that is Carpinato Group's intention, or that's certainly not Mr. Coates' intention, because I know him personally, and I know that's not his intention. So that's not what I was conveying. So please don't make it like I was, okay? However, if we start a precedent where every developer comes in and wants a tax break, then we could have a problem. And as far as Cranston Printworks, no, they are not getting affordable housing, but Knight's Corner has an affordable housing component. And Councilman Donegan was there on a very cold day in that church and directly asked them, are you seeking a tax treaty? And he was pretty pleased when they said no. And they're also committing to doing green development, and they're not asking for anything. So I'm just wondering if we are going to now attach tax treaties to an affordable housing component, then I think that's a different vote. When we previously voted on affordable housing, there was nothing attached to it. So 15% seemed like the level we were going at. But if we were going to be giving people tax cuts, then maybe we could have increased that. And I don't think that that is a ridiculous concept to bring forward or to say that we don't want affordable housing, because we do. But maybe if you're going to get a tax break, then you need to be up another level of the affordable housing that you're giving. And maybe we need to know how much money of this tax break is going to be passed down to the people who are actually living in these communities, because they're the people that need the affordable housing. They're the people that need a place to live. So unless Carpinato Group can show financial distress, like we're asking for industrial and commercial businesses who are coming before us for tax treaties, then I don't think it's fair. That's nothing against Carpinato Group. That's nothing against development. That's nothing against anyone. That is just trying to be responsible and seeing things a little bit differently than some of the people here. That's all. I just don't see any numbers. I know that in the fiscal impact that we got on this 12-unit housing in January, it said the net revenue would be $42,000 a year. So I think that we should have solid numbers as we're talking about this, or we just start to go through the motions. And then it's too good to say no to, and we're kind of stuck there. And there's 6 people on one side and 3 on the other. And a lot of times things just get pushed right through that way. And so I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but I did not at all say that Carpionato Group was trying to bankrupt the city. So please don't misrepresent what I'm saying. Thank you.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be quick, and I don't want to keep, I'll be quick, Councilman. Just to be clear to Mr. Coates, I'm not pulling out the welcome wagon by not supporting this. I supported the 2 projects, and I think they both went unanimous, and I supported Topgolf, for example, but I just want to reiterate that the number one gripe I get from constituents at the supermarket, at the barber shop, at the gas station, the coffee shop, wherever I am is, hey, how much did that cost me? And I got asked that about Topgolf. How much did that cost me as a taxpayer? And it's wonderful to say nothing. People come to Cranston because they want to come to Cranston. They want to build in Cranston. Cranston is desirable. Cranston's home, and that's why people come here. It doesn't cost us anything. Once we start this precedent, we can't say that anymore. We can't. So I think it's a bad road to go down. 2-bedroom units do have school children. It's in the report here. And it's been in other reports. So there will be children going to schools, and we never have enough money for schools. We just don't. On the other hand, we talked about vacant land, right? How vacant land, we're not getting a lot of revenue from vacant land, right? We're not providing any services either. So, and be clear, I want to see the housing built on it. I voted for the projects, but they're also not getting any services while the land is vacant. And somebody said there's a lot of wins in this. You can win 3 quarters, but still lose the game in the 4th. So I'll end with that. Thank you.
Director Moretti, what's the administration's position on this?
The administration, to be clear, would like to see a fiscal note. It's been alluded to that finance director is responsible for that. The answer is absolutely yes. But the finance director also needs the input from the petitioners to provide enough information for him to formulate a fiscal note. As it stands, he doesn't have any information. So I want to be clear that Mr. Zadelis was not inept in not providing a fiscal note tonight. He did not have the information to begin a fiscal note. And if you want to go forward, the petitioner must come forward to Mr. Zadelis to provide him that information. So I just want to be clear, Mr. Zadelis was not prepared because he was not able to be prepared tonight. Thank you.
I'll allow it, but then we are going to move on.
I just have a, thank you, Chairman, through the chair to the administration. Is it typical when someone puts forward an ordinance that needs a fiscal note, that they ask for said fiscal note, or do you just know to create a fiscal note out of thin air?
I don't think there's anything in ordinance or charter that requires, that makes that procedure. I think common sense tells you, just as the petitioners went to the council president to discuss what they want to discuss, I think it would be up to the petitioner or the person sponsoring the bill to suggest it to the finance director. But I don't think you're going to see procedures where it does say.
So
how
would it
happens.
behoove the council president who sponsored this to have asked the administration for a fiscal note in order for us to have a fiscal note?
I would think perhaps.
Point of privilege.
I would think perhaps, or the
The
petitioner.
council president is
Yeah,
recognized.
point of privilege. It is, I'm not sure what Councilwoman Renzulli, what your point is of this back and forth. The fact is the charter requires a fiscal note relative to these ordinances. It's the finance department's job, the finance chair, the administration, to review the agenda. This was new business last month. So let's not belabor this issue of, oh, someone dropped the ball. No, this is normal standard procedure, and it's not my job to do someone else's full-time job, and I'm not here accusing them of that. I asked to continue it. So I don't appreciate some insinuation that somehow there was a ball dropped by the sponsor, and I would hope that's not the administration's intention this evening either.
I would not expect the finance director to dream up a fiscal note himself.
Okay.
I think the petitioner's coming forward to the city, looking for action. I hope this petitioner, any other petitioner, would want to contact our finance department to see their bills through.
And I
Well,
want to make it
let's-
clear that I was not, I didn't have an intention of anything. I'm sorry that you perceived it that way. I was just asking who would ask for the fiscal note, and it would seem to me that would have to be the sponsor. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you feel that way.
All right, we are moving on.
Move on.
The motion before us is a motion to approve.
I
I'm
would-
going
I
to,
would withdraw my motion.
I withdraw my second.
Motion to continue?
is there a second?
Motion to continue. Second.
Okay. The motion before us is to continue. I agree with that. I don't think it's possible to make a final determination on the merits of the proposal without having a full basis of the fiscal note, and all of the numbers. So I'm going to wait to see what that is until I make up my mind on this proposal, and I'll end it with that. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Donegan? Council Vice President Vargas? Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Campiano? Councilman Paplaskas?
No.
Council President Marino?
Yes.
The next matter before us is ordinance 12-23-02, ordinance and amendment of Title III of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Revenue and Finance, Chapter 3.111, 10-year tax stabilization for property located at 320 Situate Avenue tax stabilization. This is sponsored by Council President Marino.
Good evening again, Tanessa Azar from Moses Ryan. Just to start off, I'd say this is very similar to the last proposal, so I think we'd ask for the same outcome, that this is continued so we can gather some more financial information and make some of the edits that we've discussed. But just a brief intro for this one. This project's on Situate Avenue. It's a larger project. In 2 phases, the total will be about 252 units, of which 15% will be affordable, so about 37 affordable units in this project. All the same things as the last one, but like we said, we'll ask for a continuance so we can get you the information you need. The forms are very similar, so I think a lot of the changes that we discussed for the Oak Lawn Ave ordinance would apply here, and we'd be happy to reflect those changes in this ordinance. If there's any other questions, though, we are here.
Motion to continue.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Donegan?
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas? Yes. Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Campiano? Councilman Paplaskas?
No.
Council President Marino?
Yes.
There are no resolutions before us. Next, we have real estate tax abatements. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Donegan?
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas? Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Councilman Wall?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas?
Yes.
Council President Marino?
Yes.
Next before us, we have the Tax Assessment Board of Review assessed December 31, 2022. This is for informational purposes only. No vote will be taken. Is there any discussion? The only thing I'll add is, just this month, we see adjustments that are made on the 2 properties here that result in a over $13,000 net loss in city taxes. So this is something that the Finance Committee has no control over. And over time, we've seen massive adjustments in the taxes for for properties that have resulted in hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's another place that many people don't look, but it's a big hit. Tax interest waiver approvals, motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Donegan?
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas, Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council President Marino. Yes.
Director Moretti, is there any update on the status of the community
Doug,
center?
you missed one. Tax interest waiver.
I'm so excited about a community center that tax interest waiver denials. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please take a roll.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas, Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Council President Marino. Yes.
Director Moretti, is there any update on the status of the community center to be built on Duckworth Street utilizing state and federal grant funding?
Yes, last Friday, the applications, Phase 2 application has been submitted to the PRO, being the Pandemic Recovery Office. We had that prior to that electronic submission. I'll say some of the key players drafting, participating in that application did have a meeting. I requested a meeting with the people at PRO to just make sure the i's are dotted, the t's are crossed, and with, trying to avoid any problems afterwards, and it seemed to be received well. So that has been done. So now the ball's in their court, the PRO, along with other cities and towns. The target, if everything goes well, target would be the end of February to have approval, not just Cranston, but within all the state guidelines, all the state communities.
Thank you. If there's no other discussion on this, clerk, I would ask that this be placed again on next month's agenda. Or Director, you said late February, correct?
You could leave it on there. They said by the end of February, we may get word in advance of that.
Let's leave it on for next month. The next two items are related to the independent audit that is done for the city finances, city budget each year. Believe we have representatives from Markham? Yes, thank you. So the other two items under my communications are for anyone that's listening: a status and update of independent audit and status of extension made to the Rhode Island Auditor General and status of response from the Rhode Island Auditor General. So first, Director Moretti, I know, and you have communicated to me that an extension request was made to the Auditor General. That request was made on December 28th. What was the response?
There was a meeting just this afternoon, actually, via Zoom between members from Markham, members of the Finance Department, myself, and members of the Auditor General's office. And the Auditor General thought the 2-month extension was reasonable, fine, and thought that given the facts and circumstances, that completion date will suffice. And he did mention that I guess this year they're granting only one extension per community, and some requesting 30, some may be beyond that, like similar to Cranston. So he did grant the 2-month extension.
And just for everyone else that's here, because I know we've communicated privately via email, the reasons for the request. Yourself or Director Zadelis?
Yeah, I'll let Mr. Zadelis speak because he might have a couple more specifics. If I need to augment it, I'll come back.
Mr. Chairman, the request was, dictated or the timing of it, the timing of the audit being completed was a combination of a few things. One, commencing the audit. Two, getting all the information to Markham. But the original audit schedule was supposed to occur October 10th. It didn't, for reasons that we will clearly disagree on. But other contributing factors are, one, we had an employee, one of our key finance positions, vacant since May. Number two, we had our controller out for 6 weeks. So that further compounded the matter.
Thank you, Director Zadelis. Admittedly, it concerning that this is the second straight year that we've needed an extension and how late it went this year to the request being made on December 28th. What, the audit itself is supposed to be completed by what date? By
December 31st submitted to the Auditor General.
Okay, and if it's not submitted to the Auditor General by December 31st and no request extension has been granted, it's the penalty is like 10,000, correct? Is it 10 or sorry, what is the penalty?
I don't
I don't want
know.
to misspeak.
I don't know if there's a financial penalty. I'm not sure.
Is there either Director Zadelis or any attorney on the call? Does anyone know what is the penalty if we're late?
The potential penalty, I believe by statute is 10. James Wilkinson, I'm a partner with Markham LLP. By statute, I believe the penalty could be $10,000. In my experience, I've never seen that implemented.
I see Solicitor Angel.
That's correct information.
Thank you. Well, and that's encouraging. But still, this is something that needs to be done and completed timely. So there's no other request that's going to be granted, correct? For an extension, Director Moretti, 60 days is 60 days. That's what we've got. It has to be done.
Yes.
Is there anything that Markham needs from us, the Finance Committee, or from, let's start there. Do you need anything from us in order to move the process along?
Not the finance committee. We had, when I know I was here in November at a meeting. We were commencing the audit at that point in time. We worked diligently with Finance Director Zadelis and his team and our team to work on audit procedures as information was provided. Right now, we confirmed with our call today with the Auditor General's office, there are basically 2 items that are outstanding that we haven't been provided. One is the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, which I believe you'll recall from last year was a finding. It's a problematic item. The other is information on the implementation of a new accounting standard regarding subscription-based IT agreements. It's new for every community. It requires quite a bit of homework to identify all those potential contracts, gather all that information. Those are the 2 items at this point in time. The funds that go into the financial statements have largely been completed and drafted. We relayed to the Auditor General's office today that the general fund of the city is expected to report a surplus in net position this year. In addition, the unassigned fund balance of the general fund is expected to increase because the advance between the self-insurance fund was cleared up during the year, so that non-spendable portion that was pulled out of unassigned has been restored this year. All in all, expecting good results when we do come back to present the full audit to the finance committee. There are, again, like we confirmed today, there are a few items, but not expecting those to be problematic. And as soon as those are provided, we'll continue to work on those.
Thank you very much. Last year, the expenditures of federal funds was also something that delayed the completion. Is there, whether it's you, Mr. Wilkinson, or Director Zadelis, why is that? Why is it those funds in particular are causing a delay?
Mr. Chairman, the way we account for, certain, and I say certain, federal funds as processing them through the general fund gets lost in a $350 million budget. We have initiated a new accounting procedure where we're pulling it out of the general fund. So as an example, Department X has a grant. Most of our grants are expenditure-driven grants. We are running them through the general fund, those expenditures, and when the receipts come in, processing some of ours through the general fund. Other ones we're, processing through the special revenue fund. We have changed our procedures. Where we are segregating grants, specifically federal grants, outside the general fund, so we don't have to hunt and peck for those expenses to compile a CFA. So the biggest problem, and one that we were, quite honestly, the last year's, I'll commonly refer to it as a single audit, but the uniform compliance, they actually noted even our revenue recognition, where we applied a reimbursement as a negative expense was not proper accounting. That's all changing.
If I could clarify, our responsibility on that as auditors and why it's a critical piece, it is part of the Uniform Guidance Compliance audit, but we're also required under that audit just to reconcile the city's representation of all those federal funds to make sure they reconcile back to the underlying financial statements. So we don't want to be put in the position to opine on the financial statements, and then when we do the compliance audit, find that those statements were incorrect by either a netting or, another program that may have been omitted or, reported an incorrect amount. So while it's a separate piece of the audit, again, not due till March 31st, it is integral to wrapping up the financial statement piece itself.
Thank you. Any other members of the committee? Council Vice President.
Sir, just curious, so it seems like the delay is really these two items, one, the technology part of it, and the other one is the federal funding, particularly grants and everything else that our finance director has mentioned. Last year seemed to be pretty similar situation, as obviously the chairman also noted, and the administration, and you as well. How do we assure ourselves or as a city so that we don't continue to request extensions year after year? I don't want to make this a force of habit at all for the city at all. I don't care what other cities and towns in Rhode Island do. I care about Cranston. And so should we be engaging in conversations ahead of time, or you should be engaging with conversations ahead of time? I don't know if you're representing any other cities and towns that those reports have been submitted already, and Cranston might be your only one that has not been submitted yet.
It's been a mix. We've issued several reports, but there are several others that are, for one reason or another,
And,
on
okay.
extension.
So, but in this case, it's 2 years in a row. And so I think that's a very high concern to anyone here on the council to get a sense as to if there's new changes, regulations, policies, statutes, how do we as a city move forward and work on making sure that this doesn't happen again? Because otherwise we're probably going to be back here, or whomever it is, in January of next year, assuming that that's not the case, asking for another extension. And so I don't know if I'm making myself clear or making sense at all. But is it the timing? Is it the delay? Have you been emailing the administration and asking the administration, I need X, Y, and Z, and I need it by X date? Like, I'm just trying to really give it, or are you just like, okay, sure, that's fine. I'm not trying to really put you on the spotlight, but I'm also trying to make sure that it is our due diligence and responsibility that we make sure that this report gets done, regardless as to whether or not we are or could be given an extension, right? And so it's great that we might have that cushion, but I want to make sure that I'm clear that I just don't want to see the city continuously asking an extension if there is no need. Clearly, such emergencies come up in situations, but this is the second time already that it's happened, at least since you've been auditing the city, I think, correct? Yeah, so how can we fix that? How can we engage come next year?
Certainly, as part of our process, we do have a, entrance conference with our clients. We do share information requests. We use both a secure portal as well as email. I think that process we've exchanged information, both directions this year. There's a couple of issues with the CEFA and the tracking of federal funds. Whether that requires additional changes at the city level to have that timely reconcile when the fund information is available. The new accounting standard that comes up last year, there was a similar one with leases. It does require specific effort and specific attention. We're auditing what management provides. The standards aren't getting any less complicated and less cumbersome. Next year, there'll probably be additional standards as well. I really can't comment internally on policies, procedures, and processes that the city has, but certainly at the end of our audit, we'll again go through our notes and write up whatever findings and recommendations we have on that perspective, and certainly willing to discuss those. I know Finance Director Zadelis, we've had conversations about changes, not even in the process of making them, but.
So to sum everything up, what are the next steps?
The next steps are once the information on the schedule of expenditures of federal awards is provided, as well as the information on the subscription-based IFT agreements. We'll apply our audit procedures to those. Hopefully there will not be additional requests or clarifications needed to those. The financial statements are largely drafted other than these items, and we'll be prepared to. Right, there are some additional pieces of financial statements that the city does present that's dependent on closing the funds and final numbers to be presented in the financial statements. It's anticipated that we'll be presenting a draft as soon as it's possible and discussing that with the administration and being back here before your committee to present results.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Rinzuli.
Thank you, Chairman. I just have a couple questions. So I don't know exactly who this is to, but Markham was here in November. And to my understanding, is it correct? Am I remembering correctly that you said, sir, that you anticipated the audit being on time this year?
Yeah.
Okay. So is it just these two items when did you know that it was not going to be on time? It was not until December, a couple of days before it was supposed to be done? Is that might be a question?
I think we have conversations with.
Erica Lowry, I'm a partner at Markham. I had conversations with Mr. Zadelis, and I would say right before Thanksgiving, saying that the amount of items that were outstanding, it wasn't going to make the 12/31 deadline. So I did encourage him to get an extension at that time. And then I kept emailing and requesting it, which I never obtained. And then I reached out to Councilman Donegan, and then I believe extensions were obtained.
Okay, so Chairman Donegan, when did you know?
Yes, so I received an email on December 27th from Ms. Olobri notifying me that there could be a potential that there were outstanding items. And I responded the next day, advising that I would follow up. On the morning of December 28th, I sent an email to several people, including Director Moretti and I believe Director Zadelis as well. Later that day, an extension was, a request for an extension was sent from the city of Cranston to the Rhode Island Auditor General.
Okay, and when does we have an audit committee, correct? When does that committee meet? And did they know about this, or could they have been of some help to make this move faster? When does the audit committee meet? Can someone answer that?
Yeah, the audit committee has not met, but my understanding is the delay is solely the due to the city not providing certain materials to
And-
facilitate the completion on time.
And what does the audit committee exactly do? If someone can refresh my memory, that might be Attorney Angel. I just know in the past, Councilman Ferry headed the audit committee and they met often. So I'm just wondering what their role is in our actual audit. Attorney Angel?
Sure. It's the role of the council to supervise the annual audit of the city, plain and simple, by state law and by charter. You know, obviously there was a delay here in providing some information to the auditors, which have necessitated an extension of time. You know, the channels of communication seem to have functioned to the point where when the auditor wasn't getting what they felt was a timely response with respect to the status of an extension, the finance chair in his capacity of facilitating this information stepped in, and the administration completed what they needed to complete for an extension timely by the end of the year. So the extension's been obtained. And the fact is the extension was granted for 60 days. And that's it. You know, the chain of communication functioned. It could have functioned a bit better, but it's the council's responsibility to have oversight of the external audit function of the city's finances, period.
Thank you, Attorney Angel. So I'm just wondering, as Councilwoman Vargas asked some really good questions of how, and this might be an offline discussion or something we do at another time, if we could figure out how the council can be more, if we are in charge really of facilitating this audit with Markham, we hire Markham, the administration needs to give Markham certain information, but maybe if we knew more what that information was exactly, or if that we can change the process so that it starts in September, maybe instead of October. Under the understanding it didn't really start in October, but if we make it start sooner, maybe we won't need an extension. I don't know if that is a ridiculous idea, but if we're running into the same problem, if they have more time to give what they have to give, because maybe, I don't know if they know exactly, there was some new things brought up, I guess, with the subscriptions. If we knew that, then we could, help push the administration to submit the information. Obviously, like with anything else, same thing with the fiscal note, we don't actually do it. We have to work with the administration, but if we're unaware or it's not on our time, if we don't have a timeline that we're checking off boxes, then we can't essentially kind of ask the administration to do the same. So I'm just saying how we can help. Obviously, we didn't not submit something, but we need to help the administration if our role is to help facilitate this audit. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just, I think Solicitor Angel said it. I do think in this instance, the chain of communication did work. The auditor was not getting the response requested or desired. They reached out to me. I reached out to the administration, and the request was put in. So I do think in that, I'm not saying that what you're saying is incorrect or not with merit, because I think there is something there. But in this instance, I do think that the chain of communication worked effectively. Although I do agree that I wish it wasn't necessary, that this had been wrapped up on time.
Or just not on, if you didn't know on December 27th, if you knew, 2 weeks prior, perhaps some kind of aid the administration needed, we could have helped figure that out, how to submit this. I don't know exactly. I'm just saying when we don't know things until the last minute, we can't do very much. And then it turns into asking for an extension and 60-day extension. And Councilman Vargas, I agree that we don't want this to be habitual every single year if we're not actually solving the problem from year to year. If we don't get to the root of the problem, I mean to say, then we can't expect this to be any different next year. It could just occur again. That's all. Thank you.
How many other municipalities does Markham do the audit for? Do you know?
60 or so. I haven't reported the market yet. We're trying.
is a request for an extension something that occurs in the majority of examples?
Most of the other communities in New England follow the federal deadline, which is a March 31st deadline. So the state does not impose a 6-month filing requirement. I believe in our office in Providence, better than 50% of ours were issued on time. The other remainder are similar to Cranston in the final stages of wrap up, and the financial statements will be out in the next month or so, and a single audit will follow soon after that.
Thank you. Councilman Ferry.
Through the chair, to Director Zaidelis. Did you say at the beginning of this discussion that you had somebody out sick for 6 weeks or longer, and that you were short a person for several months? I think that might be the root of the problem, why we're not ready. So is that really the problem, that you were short help and you didn't, and you had somebody out sick? Is that the root of the problem?
Chair, factors, but back to Councilor Renzulli's question, can we start earlier? We don't even close our books till September 30th. So that's when we kick off some of the stuff, that Markham does send out their standard requests, but in terms of starting any earlier, the original October 10th deadline, or I should say commencement date, would have, normally been the earliest we could commence with the field work. So, typically, and I commenced my employment with the city a week after the audit started last year, so it was approximately the 16th. That is the earliest we can start field work, but getting back to we didn't start on the 10th, we commenced the audit, or I should say the field work afterwards. But getting back to Councilor Ferry's, initial question, we really have very few people. So our chief financial clerk retired in the end of May. We just, had his replacement start last Monday. We had in the city controller undergo a medical procedure, was out, and then was working from home, and then, had other appointments. So, a multitude of reasons, but ultimately, we have to, quite honestly, start earlier and be on top of stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, I think there's a little, I guess it's all honest talk, but I think there's some omissions that I think are very, very critical to this council to be aware of. There's an email back on August 9th, if you're concerned about timing. It was from the audit manager to our controller. I'll just take out the, how are you doing? Hope you're well and all that, but want to reach out about the audit timing this year. Is there a date you anticipate being ready to start the audit? Believe me, anything I'm leaving out is just superfluous here. The response, that was August 9th. That was, I'm sorry, response August 9th. I'm thinking, this is from our controller, I'm thinking starting the audit the day after Columbus Day, October 10th, the same as every other year. We had quite a year. The notes were issued for school last August. They're being rolled again this August. George retired in May, and putting things behind a bit, but should be okay for October 10th. On October 9th, our controller sent an intern for Markham an email saying attached is October 9th. Attached is the audit package for fiscal 23. There are some open items, fixed assets, OPEB report, IBNR, and any legal accruals that may need to be accrued. I'll be sending the backup for the various sections as they are completed. Received, and there was an email from the audit partner Olibri to our finance director Zadelis on October 10th. That was the day, I guess, that Mr. Igo said they're ready to go to start the field work. I just wanted to follow up on an open invoice from last year. In the email I sent on October 4th, we have been provided with the trial balances for the city, but we need to put the start date on hold. We can have a meeting with you. So we were ready to go with the field work on October 10th. In October, and the field work commenced by their audit on November 27th. 7 weeks passed from that communication. I'd have to leave it to Mr. Zadelis and the Markham for the answer. I've heard the answer from Mr. Zadelis. Why the delay? I'm not the judge, but very concerning. And I'm told on this side, Mr. Zadelis was very kind before. He's taken the hit, I think, by not mentioning this. But apparently there seems to be, what he communicated to me was there was a dispute over 20 work performed for the audit of 2022, the prior year, nothing to do with this year. That apparently there was an invoice or two received that Mr. Zadelis felt was in the scope of the audit work contract for the prior year. And I believe from what he's saying that Markham felt outside the scope that warranted additional billing. I don't know if the audit, if you're aware of that. I would think you're seeing the audit committee does have responsibility for the audit. Maybe that would have been communicated. And I believe in the past, the audit committee used to meet regularly, getting down to the deadline. And if you want to say a corrective action, I think audit committee maybe should be meeting, but I think some discussion should be had over the merits of why there was a 7-week delay. We are now talking days here and there, maybe hours, maybe a day, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks for some of these remaining schedules. But I think there's a gap of 7 weeks. I think these people should explain to this council and myself, frankly. Thank you.
Sure, be happy to address that. Our ethical standards don't allow us to maintain our independence if there is an overdue invoice from a prior engagement. We're not allowed to have joint investments with our clients. We're not allowed to be in a lending relationship. Our firm takes that seriously, and we discussed that with Finance Director Zadelis. At the time we were providing services in the 22 engagement, there were certain specific items that were discussed. We believe we had an agreement that we were going to provide those services with an out-of-scope billing on those. When the invoice was presented, there was a part of it that was agreed to, a part of it that was not. Additional discussions surrounding that largely was the leasing standard that we assisted with implementation of, which was management's responsibility. At the end of the day, we were able to provide backup and agree on settlement of that invoice. From that point forward, we worked diligently, and other than these couple of items, the audit was largely completed and ready to be issued right around the end of the year.
I am just wondering why at that point, perhaps the council was not brought into the loop of communication when there was this invoice discrepancy that was not being settled, and then you could not, by your ethical standards, which those are your standards, you could not start the audit within the schedule that we are used to with the October 10th. So we can't really expect you to be done on time if you had 7 weeks where you couldn't do anything, but we didn't know about that. So perhaps in the future, I'm not the chair of finance. I'm not trying to step on feet. I'm just saying that, it would have, to me, it seems like that would be the time in which you would engage with the council, because the council has hired you to do this job. So the administration has to work with you, but you are hired by the council. So if you don't reach out to the council when you cannot do the work, then we can't expect it to be done on time.
I believe, I'm not sure we discussed it specifically. I know we did mention when I was here in early November that we were discussing planning and we're ready to commence the audit in November to get it done on.
Okay, but when you did not, when you could not start on time, why would you not have reached out to the council, to Councilman Don, in the same fashion that you reached out to Councilman Donegan when we needed an extension, you were not getting what you needed from the administration in order to finish on time? It would seem to me that that would be an appropriate time to reach out to the same person to say, we're having, a dispute about an invoice, and because of our ethical standards, we cannot start your audit. Thought you should know. And maybe at that point, we could have stepped in to make this all move faster.
At that point, I believe we were having constructive conversations about it. We didn't think that it was going to delay the audit, start date being delayed. We had enough staff and resources assigned to know that the city would be ready and work diligently.
Okay, I don't know if it's proper for me to ask, if Councilman Donegan would have to ask, but I would just say that in the future, if we come into a situation like this again, I would appreciate if you had contacted the council at that point in time so that we perhaps, maybe we wouldn't be here right now. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Donegan?
Yes,
Yeah.
Council President.
Thank you. We've heard a myriad of reasons as to why we're at this point. The staff shortage, staff shortage. Point is, the point we're at now is you cannot complete your audit because you are awaiting additional documentation from the administration, and at least one of which is documentation that, similar to last year, even with the assistance of the audit committee, was the same thing. It was a similar form that delayed your ability to complete your audit. Is that correct in my understanding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
And let me just ask you this, if you had that documentation on November 27th, do you feel you would have been able to complete it by December 31st?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, we're moving on. Thank you for being here this evening. Councilman Ferry, you have status of bidding process for Budlong Pool.
Yes, I was wondering if the administration would report to us what the status is on the bidding process for the Budlong Pool.
As of late last week, the architect, Secoshia and Associates, has reported that they would expect to have bid documents. They were shooting for the end of this week.
So they're submitting bid documents that you're going to send out to prospective bidders?
Yes, yes.
Do you have any idea how many?
No.
Okay.
Again, we're told we should have them. Yeah, so frankly, we were told earlier too, but I'm not guaranteeing it. That's what we're told.
I don't want to get too off track and not speak what's on the topic, but the bidding process still not even being out there yet. What are the odds that the pool opens up next June?
Actually probably not June. I think they had said there would be the shooting for sometime in the summertime. I don't think you're gonna have a July 1 opening in all candor, but there are no guarantees. It could be earlier, it could be later. We wouldn't know that until this bidding the process is done and talking with the contractor and they're starting to roll.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Rizzoli.
Thank you. Director Moretti, is Secoshia and Associates stood before us, I think, I don't quote me, I want to say in October, and said they could have these at the end of November. I know that you hire Secoshia and Associates. I can't necessarily hold you accountable for them totally, but is there anything within your contract with them about if they don't hit certain deadlines? Because it seems to me like they can kind of hold this hostage if they have other jobs that they're working on and this kind of moves down the line and I don't want this pool not to be built, just like anyone else
Yeah.
here. We want this to get going and I think we have members of the community who are losing confidence in the idea that it will be built. So I just like to know if we're going to penalize Scotian Associates for not having things at a certain time. There's nothing in the agreement that says that.
I'm not aware of any penalty clauses, though I do believe, I can't swear to the exact dates, but I believe Ms. Blake is correct or thereabouts to say, I did probably make the statements that we were told to have these bid specs should be to us by, I don't remember all the dates.
It wasn't you, it was
not
Mr.
quoting me,
Secoshia.
But point is, we've been right, correctly. Mr. Secoshia has told us in the past that we would have them earlier than this week. I have to say that. I can't swear if he said November, December, but I know December for sure. So, but is there a penalty clause in there? No. But is the mayor frustrated? Absolutely.
So what happens, Howard, do you have if now they say it's going to be done in January and then they say it's going to be done in February and then they get it done in March? Or like what happens there?
If we received word last week to say we should be getting the end of this week, that's pretty close. I wouldn't anticipate much going much further than where we are. I wouldn't expect February or March. If we are it'd be a pretty ugly conversation.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask another question?
Yes.
If I'm getting off topic, stop me. If there's a good chance that the pool might not open next year, then why would we start building it? And then when we're gonna build it to close it? I just want to think this out now. There's probably a good chance it won't open. If you're thinking it's gonna be July or August, it only opens for 8 weeks, usually closes the second week or third week in August. So why would we go through the process of investing $5 million to build something that we're just gonna close up for
I'm
7
gonna,
months?
I think this is
Thank you.
beyond the scope of what's on the docket. I'll
Correct.
let council.
That's correct. It's beyond the scope.
Sorry. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, and no other business before us, at this time we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We are adjourned.